Oh, what a rush. How we doing, everybody? Welcome to another episode here of the Ben Burnside Show. Here to pay another respectful tribute to another one of the fallen but never forgotten uh, wrestlers in professional wrestling. One of the all-time legends of quite arguably the greatest tag team ever in professional wrestling history, the Road Warriors. Road Warrior Animal. Road Warrior Animal passed away. Uh, Surprisingly, um, he passed away. When was it? August, or he last week, somewhere around there. September 22nd is when he passed, and so it's just shy of his 60th birthday. He passed away. Uh, Again, one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time. Road Warrior Animal. You know, he just is. He was a hell of a legend, a part of that tag team. The Road Warriors were popular and they made money everywhere they went. They were megastars everywhere they went. Kind of get into the career here of Road Warrior Animal. It's a one that sucks. His partner Road Warrior Hawk passed away about 17 years ago, but finally Animal has left this earth as well. It really is sad to hear about that. Um, So of the so both Road Warriors are gone, have died now, and man, that's uh that's a shitty pill to swallow. We just feels like it just never ends with pro wrestlers passing away these last 20 years. It just has never been ending. So, and this is another example of that. This year marks a pretty shitty year with wrestling deaths. I mean, Howard Finkel, Road Warrior Animal, Bullet Bob Armstrong. There's been, among others, I believe Jimmy Havoc was it? Um, a former Ring of Honor champion as well passed away. I don't remember his name, but a lot of people have passed away this year, an uncomfortable amount. So, uh, and this is one of the worst ones for this year. Kamala, I just got through doing a review on Kamala, obviously. So it's a pretty shitty year in terms of death. And yeah, let's get into it though. It's just yeah, it's pretty shitty. I grew up watching the Road Warriors as well. I mean, I was I was like, who the fuck are these guys? What first seeing them in WWF in the '90s, early '90s with their football pads, their spiked football pads, and all that stuff. This post-apocalyptic look. It was pretty dope at the time. Pretty dope. Um, so yeah, it was really shitty. Um, yeah, he'll be remembered by the wrestling community as the greatest tag team ever. I mean, and let's get through his career and announce. I think the career will really speak for itself. Road Warrior Animal wasn't much of a talker in his tag team. That was more of Road Warrior Hawk. But Road Warrior Animal, I will say, he wasn't as much of a troublemaker as Hawk was. With all due respect to Hawk, Road Warrior Animal was the silent, cooperative type of the group, and throughout his career, and that should be commemorated. And he leaves behind um, three children. Uh, so, and I'm glad we got to see the animal on this earth just be the monster that he is. That 320 pound, and how tall is he? 6'1". He's my height. 300 pound monster that he was in the back in the day. So let's get into it here. Uh, Joseph Michael Laurinaitis, or Road Warrior Animal, better known by his ring name of Road Warrior Animal, or simply Animal when they were the Legion of Doom in WWE, was an American professional wrestler. Along with Road Warrior Hawk, he was one half of the tag team the Road Warriors / the Legion of Doom. He headlined multiple pay-per-view events for the WWF and WCW, competing for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship at 2001's Sin. I didn't know that. He competed for the WCW title. Shit. Animal was inducted with Hawk and their manager Paul Ellering into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2011. So Hawk wasn't around for that Hall of Fame. Pretty shitty, but Animal was. Animal was inducted, and he got to be a part of that group with he got to experience his illustrious Hall of Fame induction. So I'm really happy to hear that part. I'm gonna skip the early life, but I did see a documentary coincidentally this year of the Road Warriors with that wrestling documentary series Dark Side of the Ring. They did a whole episode on the Road Warriors. The timing of them to do a documentary like that at the same year of the death of Road Warrior Animal. And that was the one episode of that whole season this year for that series where I was like, do we really need a Road Warriors episode? Do we really need one? I'm kind of glad they did one now. So that's pretty cool to hear. So Road Warrior Animal was a active guy. I think he played a lot of sports early on in his life. But starting in pro wrestling, early in his career, Laurinaitis made his debut in November of 1982. Let's see. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? I am going to read his early life amongst reading it because this is a lot of what I heard from that Dark Side of the Ring documentary, and I trust their source. I'm reading this off Wikipedia though, so let's see. But I trust it. Laurinaitis was born in Philadelphia on September. He grew up September of 1960. He grew up in Minnesota, having to work for a living from a very early age. He attended Irondale High School. Because of his size and love of powerlifting, Laurinaitis was an imposing figure and thus a very effective bouncer. He worked as a bouncer at Grandma B's in Twin Cities, where he caught the eye of Eddie Sharkey, who's a well-known wrestling trainer. According to the documentary, Sharkey is not the safest wrestling trainer, or he wasn't the most supervising wrestling trainer. Sharkey thought that Laurinaitis and Mike Hegstrand, who was Road Warrior Hawk, Richard Rude, who I believe, is Rick Rude, and Barry Darsow, who was in Demolition, and he was the Repo Man, could make it big in professional wrestling, and trained all four of them. They ended up all being very big. Laurinaitis made his debut in November of '82, competing as the Road Warrior using a biker gimmick. After only a few matches as a singles competitor, his career and life would change thanks to an idea by Paul Ellering. American and Japanese territories. I think this goes also into the idea that there was who was it? Ole Anderson. Ole Anderson went into a bar where these were both Hegstrand, Road Warrior Hawk, and Road Warrior Animal. They worked both as bouncers. So when he found out that there were two of them, the promoter, Ole Anderson, who's the promoter of, I believe, Mid-South Wrestling, or somewhere around there, one of the Southern Territories, was he saw them as a big attraction for his show, and he saw dollar signs when he looked at them. So he was like, I got to bring both these guys in and have them be on part of my show. So, what was it? So getting past the early career, in 1983, when Paul Ellering was looking to put together a stable of heels in Georgia Championship Wrestling called the Legion of Doom, It was decided to put Laurinaitis together with his good friend Mike Hegstrand and change their names to Animal and Hawk, respectively. Thus, the Road Warriors were born. They first started out as biker gimmicks on the Road Warriors DVD. Animal said he once felt like one of the Village People. I think he might have said that in the documentary too. To look more intimidating, the two shaved their heads into mohawks and started wearing studded dog collars, spiked shoulder pads, and face paint. The look and name were taken from the Road Warrior, like Mad Max, helping to paint the two as no mercy monsters. Their interview style was vicious, yet charismatic and a bit humorous. The team was an instant hit, revolutionizing the tag team scene with their power moves, no mercy attitudes, and innovative face paint that would spawn many future imitators in wrestling. In Georgia, they won the NWA National Tag Team titles 4 times before moving on to bigger promotions, such as the AWA, American Wrestling Association, in the US, and All Japan Pro Wrestling, winning more tag team gold in those organizations. Hello, everybody, back again. Sorry, I was busy to finish up the Road Warrior Animal video in one take, but here I am back to you to address the additional part of the video. It's been a couple days since I've done it, but since then there's been some articles released, courtesy of TMZ, about Road Warrior Animal. WWE legend Road Warrior Animal died during a romantic getaway with his wife to celebrate their wedding anniversary. This according to police documents that were picked up by TMZ Sports. Laurinaitis, one half of the famous Legion of Doom, was with his wife Kimberly at the Margaritaville Lake Resorts in Osage Beach, Missouri, on September 22nd for a quick getaway. According to the police report obtained by TMZ, Laurinaitis had set up a whole romantic evening for Kim, starting with a fancy dinner and returning to their room, which was covered in rose petals and a gift basket. Good fucking God, man. That's so sad. But after they arrived back to the room, Laurinaitis suffered a medical emergency and collapsed on the bed. Kim tried to perform CPR, but unfortunately Joseph could not be saved. That's his name, Road Warrior Animal's name. According to officials, the medical examiners launched an investigation into his death, and notes medication for Laurinaitis was collected at the scene. Laurinaitis is considered one of the best in-ring performers of all time. He wrestled for most of his WWE career with Road Warrior Hawk and won multiple tag team titles as the Legion of Doom. He was 60 years old. Good fucking God. He literally died on a bed with his wife in their getaway anniversary. It's like a dream scenario. Man, that's fucking sad. What the, Jesus fucking Christ. That's sad. Man, that's depressing to hear. Let's see here. Yeah, Road Warrior Animal's death has been covered by practically everybody. By WWE, Washington Post, New York Times, CBS Sports. I mean, he was a legend. The Road Warriors were the best tag team of all time in professional wrestling. There was no doubt about that. Road Warrior Animal's family, which consists of, John Laurinaitis, as well as his son, who's his son, I think, I'll find out his name, but I forgot. I think it also started with a J. James. I think it was James Laurinaitis. He was a former LA Ram. I think he was a linebacker, or he was in the D-line. One of the two, so it's just sad, man. That's what this is. It's just sad. Yeah, there's tweets all over here. Let's see. let's see. Road Warrior Animal's wife, Kim, talked about how the rest of her family, including the Bellas, reacted when Chris Featherstone, who I guess is a reporter, asked about him. She talked about the condition of her family. Everyone in the family is utterly shocked, I mean, to say the least. There are really no words to describe. We are still in a period of all of this happening, of course. Now we are still getting into the realness of everything setting in. And Kathy, I love Kathy to death, and Kathy has been going through her own health issues. I don't know who Kathy is. She and I have both had health issues in the past couple of years, and I hated it for her because she really struggled because of her health. It's a struggle, aside from it being COVID and a lot of people not being able to come from certain states. We have been bombarded with phone calls and messages and things like that. And people there are just heartbroken because they wanted to be here or come and stay, but they can't figure out a way to get here. Yeah. I'll bet, man. I'll bet. So this is just a pretty shitty situation with Road Warrior Animal all around here. But let me get back to his career and just kind of show what this man accomplished, what the Road Warriors accomplished, and why they might be the greatest tag team for the rest of time in professional wrestling. So let's get back into it here. Gotta find my spot. Paul Ellering is the last guy left in the Road Warriors, and he wasn't even a Road Warrior. Okay, I'm going to resume back here where it was at Jim Crockett. Their hard-hitting style, no-nonsense attitude, and winning ways made the Road Warriors fan favorites. Even when they were booked as heels, the fans refused to boo them. Understandable. They started to split their time between the AWA and the NWA until finally leaving the AWA for bigger money contracts with the NWA and a huge push for the Monster Duo. Yeah, because they had most of their career in NWA, at least in the 80s, as they won the inaugural Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup Tag Team Tournament and feuded with top stars of the NWA such as the Four Horsemen and the Russian team, which included the Road Warriors' old training buddy Barry Darsow. During their initial run in the NWA, they helped popularize the War and their trademark Chicago Street. In 1998, the Road Warriors engaged in a violent feud with the Powers of Pain, which were the Barbarian and the Warlord. This was in Jim Crockett still. The first team that could truly match the Road Warriors in power, and who were one of the most well-known Road Warriors clones. The Powers of Pain even went so far as to injure Animal's eye, kayfabe, during a weightlifting competition. When Animal returned, he initially wore a hockey goalie mask to protect his eye. The angle abruptly ended when the Powers of Pain left the NWA after finding out they were booked against the Road Warriors in a series of scaffold matches, and they did not want to get hurt by falling off the scaffold. I heard those matches are fucking dangerous. I think that's where they go up the platform, way above the ring. Yeah, I don't blame them. Near the end of '88, the Road Warriors captured the NWA Tag Team Championship from the Midnight Express, whom they mauled in short order to win the titles. After being the uncrowned champions for a long time, the Road Warriors' run with the tag team titles was short-lived here. Teddy Long used a fast count to cheat the Road Warriors out of their titles. In their last year with the NWA, the Warriors feuded mainly with the Varsity Club, the Samoan SWAT team, and the Skyscrapers before leaving the NWA in the summer of 1990 due to conflicts with Jim Herd. Jim Herd, he's a notorious promoter in wrestling with WCW. He didn't know anything really about the wrestling business, so it's just weird that he was put in that position because he really didn't know what he was doing. And WCW, it sounded like they suffered for it. In the WWF, the Road Warriors immediately signed with the World Wrestling Federation in 1990 and were pushed into a feud with the famous Road Warrior clones, Demolition, a group which included their old training partner Barry Darsow. Due to the ailing health of one Demolition axe, he was replaced by Crush, but the magic of the original Demolition was gone, and the feud did not live up to the high hopes of the fans. Yeah. You know, I obviously wasn't around during the time of Demolition, and even for watching videos of events, I never saw what was so big about Demolition, quite frankly. But they were a big tag team to a lot of people. To a lot of people. But for me personally, I don't see that big time name with Demolition. Just over a year after signing with the WWF, the Legion of Doom won the WWF Tag Team Championship and held it for about 8 months. When they lost the title, they briefly left the WWF, only to return with longtime manager Paul Ellering by their side. I don't remember that either. I don't remember Paul Ellering being a part of their group, but there you go. I don't remember him in promos or anything with WWF, so it's cool that it happened. As well as a wooden ventriloquist dummy called Rocco. I definitely don't remember that. Both members of the LOD thought the Rocco gimmick was stupid, and it led to Hawk walking out of the WWF immediately following. That's not true. Following SummerSlam 1992, leaving Laurinaitis on his own for the first time in 9 years. That's not the reason, but you know the big reason was because I was going to get to this at some point. Hawk had well-documented problems of drugs, drug abuse throughout his career until his death, and he came into SummerSlam totally incapacitated in terms of like how he's able, totally incohesive in terms of talking to people and all that stuff. He kept interrupting Vince when they were trying to go over their match before the match started. This was all covered in that documentary that I was talking about that was released earlier this year. And, Animal was extremely frustrated with Hawk. And it was just, it was pretty, it pretty much was the end of Hawk. Hawk, I think, went AWOL the next day, or right after SummerSlam ended that year, and to not be seen, and he pretty much quit the company and left Animal high and dry. So there's a lot of resentment there. There was, at least, and it just, it didn't work out well. Maybe it says that in the personal life, all that. No, it doesn't say it about Hawk, but yeah, that's pretty much why Hawk and Animal. That's why the Legion of Doom pretty much ended in WWF. I think they wanted to continue, but Hawk kind of ruined it. The drug abuse with Hawk was increasing for a very long time, and it really sounded like it came to a head that night at SummerSlam. And I think there was a lot of resentment for at least a couple of years there until they made up and came back as the Road Warriors later. Let's see. Where was I at? Okay, here we go. Animal went ahead after SummerSlam and finished his contractual obligations with the WWF as a singles wrestler and occasionally teaming with former rival Crush, formerly of Demolition. During a handicap match in Japan against the Beverly Brothers in September of '92, Laurinaitis legitimately injured his back. That's his name. Animal legitimately injured his back from a botched double suplex and had to take a lengthy hiatus. His last match was a victory over Papa Shango in San Francisco on October 16th, After this, his back was too injured to allow him to wrestle. Now into WCW. And at this point, around then, Hawk, his former partner, teamed up with a Japanese professional wrestler. I forgot his name, forgive me, and they formed their own Legion of Doom in Japan. So, and Animal was pretty offended by that too. So that increased resentment as well. And it was brutal. I don't know if the tag team with Hawk and that new partner was bad, but it's just brutal that Hawk would do that to him. That kind of is shitty for him to do. So, Animal definitely was the more likable guy behind the scenes, probably, than Hawk. And Hawk was likable probably too, but just doing all those things, you gotta think Animal was even more so. World Championship Wrestling. Laurinaitis made some non-wrestling appearances in WCW in '93. On August 18th at the Clash of Champions 24, Animal made his appearance backing out of a black Camaro 728, indicating his partner Hawk was Dustin Rhodes' mystery partner against Rick Rude and the Equalizer. On September 19th at Fall Brawl, Animal was the advisor for Sting's team, consisting of Sting, Davey Boy Smith, Dustin Rhodes, and the Shockmaster for War Games, defeating Big Van Vader, Sid Vicious, and Harlem Heat. For the next couple of years, Animal stayed out of the wrestling ring, collecting on an insurance policy from the Lloyds of London. I heard about this insurance thing, but I don't know much about it. While Hawk competed all over the world. Near the end of '95, Laurinaitis' back had finally recovered enough for him to return to active competition. 3 years after everyone thought the Road Warriors had ended, they reunited and signed a contract with WCW. On January 4th of '96, Animal seconded Hawk in his match against Scott Norton in New Japan's Pro Wrestling's annual Tokyo Dome show. I didn't know that. Upon their return in January of '96, they immediately started a feud with the Steiner brothers, who returned in March and with Harlem Heat before moving on to challenge the WCW Tag Team Champions Sting and Lex Luger. The Road Warriors had several shots at the champions but never won the title in the 6 months they were with the company. The Steiner brothers also arrived shortly after the Warriors did and feuded with them to try to prove who the best team of all time was. The Steiners got the better of the feud, and the Warriors left WCW in June of '96. I want to put in my 2 cents on that idea of what team was the bigger team. I think it was pretty clear, especially looking now, and I know that I'm kind of loving on the Road Warriors right now, given Animal's death. Still, though, the Road Warriors are a bigger name than the Steiners. I'm just going to say it right now. The Road Warriors are maybe the biggest tag team of all time. So, in terms of of titles earned, it's probably neither team. It's the Dudleys. But honestly, who gives a shit about that? The bigger thing is just who was the biggest tag team name in pro wrestling. That's the biggest thing with pro wrestling. And to me, it's the Road Warriors. They're number one. There's no doubt about that. Really in my mind. Not really, no doubt. What else? After leaving WCW, they returned to the WWF in 1997, where the Legion of Doom took part in the Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Hart Foundation feud. They were there in WrestleMania 13 too. I don't know why that's not being covered here, but they were clearly in that. They're clearly around at that time. That Chicago street fight happened in WrestleMania 13. The Road Warriors sided with Austin against the Harts. The Legion of Doom also became 2-time tag team champions on October 7, 1997, when they defeated the Godwins. In November of '97, the Legion of Doom faced the newly formed New Age Outlaws with Road Warrior and Billy Gunn, the emergence of DX, and lost the titles to the Upstart team. After several unsuccessful challenges, LOD were repackaged as the Legion of Doom 2000 with manager Sunny, although she did not stay with the team for long. At the time, Paul Ellering returned but sided with DOA, whom LOD were feuding with at the time. Ellering and Animal explained on the Road Warriors DVD that it was hard for Ellering to work with another team against the Road Warriors and difficult to rip on his former team on pro mode. Why? It's your job, man. But that's how close they were. That's how close the Road Warriors were with Ellering, because they did it together for decades, or like not decades, but over a decade at that point. In '98, the Legion of Doom became involved in their most controversial angle, playing off Hegstrand's real-life drug and alcohol problems. I didn't see much of this, but from what I saw in the clips, it didn't look particularly good. Hawk started to show up drunk or unable to perform on TV, as Hawk proved more and more erratic and unreliable. A third LOD member, Puke, or better known as Draws, was introduced to the team with Animal while Hawk dealt with his personal issues. The story ended with accusations that Draws had been the enabler of Hawk's problems, exploiting them to take Hawk's place in the team. During the controversial segment, Hawk was shown to have fallen off the Titantron. Neither Hegstrand nor Laurinaitis approved of the WWF exploiting Hegstrand's personal problems or Hawk's personal problems, which caused them to subsequently leave the WWF. While the Road Warriors never officially broke up, Animal started making an increasing number of solo appearances after they left WWF, as Hegstrand struggled with drug and alcohol addiction. I know that Vince and them were trying to, create new stars, but LOD should always be an attraction. I felt like they still had time to do stuff. I don't know, that's just me. But, they were also getting older at that point, but still. After his release from WWF, the Road Warriors wrestled at the All Japan Pro Wrestling Giant Baba Memorial Show, defeating Jun Akiyama and Kenta Kobashi in Tokyo. In 2000, the Road Warriors worked for I-Generation Superstars of Wrestling in Australia, feuding with Public Enemy over the I-Generation tag titles. I've never heard of them working together. Interesting. They also worked in the independent circuit. Later that year, Animal wrestled for Battle Arts in Japan as Animal Warrior, teaming with Alexander Otsuka. I didn't know this, but they returned to WCW in WCW's Dying Days in 2001. In January of 2001, Animal returned with a prominent position in WCW as the enforcer of the stable known as the Magnificent Seven, with the objective to protect WCW World Champion Scott Steiner. The Magnificent Seven split up shortly before Vince McMahon purchased WCW in March. Animal's contract was not one of the contracts that WWF picked up. At that point, Animal would have been 42. I don't know. Would Animal be an interesting part of that invasion angle if done correctly with WWF? Yeah, I think. Why wouldn't you add him? In my opinion, I don't know. I think that's kind of a mistake. Animal clearly seems to be a team player, so I don't get it. Later career. So after WCW folded, Animal reunited with Hawk at Jersey Championship Wrestling, defeating the Moondogs 2000 in Lodi, New Jersey. And on September 8th, 2001, the Road Warriors mainly continued working the independent circuit. In 2002, Animal once again returned to All Japan as Animal Warrior, teaming with Keiji Muto. In 2003, the Road Warriors' last stint was for Fighting of World Japan Pro Wrestling, feuding with the Shane Twins. Hawk would die on October 19th, 2003. pretty sad story. Apparently, Hawk seemed to be over his issues with drugs at that point, making a new leaf. Uh, but Animal got a call shortly after. I think he was by the pool that Road Warrior Hawk passed, and Animal was crushed apparently by that. So I don't blame him. At that point, they were friends for like over 20 years. So yeah, I don't blame him at all. After Hawk's death, Animal returned to the ring nearly a year later, focusing on his singles career. On May 11, 2008, Animal teamed with Power Warrior to defeat Damien 666 and El Terrible to win the UWA Tag titles for Toryumon Mexico Dragon Mania 3. Mexico. God, these names. Mexico City, Mexico. Animal would then retire from wrestling. TNA, he made some appearances there too. The Road Warriors appeared in TNA in late 2002 and early 2003 as part of a group that opposed Vince Russo's faction, Sports Entertainment Extreme, so the super early days of TNA. I didn't know they were there, but would only wrestle one actual match for their promotion. I don't know I don't think it says what that match was. On June 17th, 2007, Road Warrior Animal returned to TNA on the pay-per-view Slammiversary with Rick Steiner. He replaced Scott, who was out with an injury. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that was a thing. They ended up losing to Team 3D, the Dudleys. On December 15, 2016, Animal returned to TNA for a guest appearance on the Impact Wrestling special Total Nonstop Deletion. And finally, the final part of his wrestling career was his second return to WWE, or like at this point his third or fourth maybe, because his third and fourth were covered here in this part. Animal and Hawk made a surprise appearance. That's his third return on Raw on May 12, 2003, when they took on Kane and Rob Van Dam for the World Tag Team titles. I saw that match. They lost, but it was pretty cool seeing them, and the place went nuts too when they came out. So yeah, this was right before Hawk's death, unfortunately, but still, it was pretty interesting. Animal made a return to WWE on July 14th episode of SmackDown in 2005, where he was challenged by the then WWE Tag Team Champions, MNM, to a title match at the Great American Bash. Finding a new tag team partner in Heidenreich, Animal went on to defeat MNM for the titles, dedicating the win to Hawk by saying, "Hawk, this one was for you, brother." The two would team up for a few months in a new chapter of the Legion of Doom. So both Animal and Hawk had varying partners for the Legion of Doom. With Heidenreich adopting the LOD shoulder pads, face paint, and mohawk haircut. However, this came to an end with Heidenreich's release from WWE in January 17th of 2006. That's pretty shitty. I don't know why they got rid of Heidenreich, but that's pretty shitty that that Animal was left high and dry. Why was he released? I'm gonna check that out. Let's see. Oh, so they lost the tag team titles. Oh, so it sounds like they just released him just because they lost interest. So yeah, WWE kind of left Animal high and dry, but it sounded like that stint was over though. So yeah, there you go. Where was I at? On March 3rd of 2006, episode of SmackDown, Animal teamed up with Matt Hardy to face MNM After he and Hardy lost the match, Animal turned heel for the second. I forgot about that. He did for the second time in his career by attacking and injuring Hardy's knee. Animal reasoned that he realized that Hardy and Heidenreich were screw-ups and that Road Warrior Hawk was the only tag team legend and partner for him. After the heel turn, Animal, once again known as simply the Road Warrior, would drop many aspects of the well-known Road Warrior gimmick. I remember this. Losing the face paint and the shoulder pads, Animal's look at this time was similar to his old Road Warrior gimmick in the early 1980s. He had prior to teaming up with Hawk. On March 17th, Animal lost to Matt Hardy in a Money in the Bank qualifying match. Animal was defeated by United States champion Chris Benoit on March 31st in SmackDown. In his final WWE match, Animal defeated Paul Burchill on May 6th of 2006 on Velocity. On June 26, 2006, Animal got released. So he was on with WWE for almost 2 months before getting released without a match. WWE announced on March 28th on WWE Raw that the Road Warriors would be inducted into the 2011 Hall of Fame. So there's the Hall of Fame ceremony. Animal also spoke openly about his future induction on right after wrestling, just minutes after the announcement on WWE Raw. Animal told the host of the show, that the WWE was going to create a physical Hall of Fame in Tampa, and he was going to donate his trademark spike shoulder pads to that hall. A feat that was never really accomplished for Road Warrior, but because of WWE. So hopefully that the physical Hall of Fame is created. That's something that WWE should have done a long fucking time ago. And if anybody can do it, it's WWE. So hopefully they're able to do it, and whoever's holding those shoulder pads for Animal, they give it to WWE in good faith. So let's see. On July 20th of 2012, on SmackDown, Animal returned to face Heath Slater in honor of Raw's 1000th episode. I feel like that was on Raw. No, it's not SmackDown. He then reappeared on the actual 1000. Oh, okay. It probably was SmackDown. On the actual 1000th episode of July 23rd with other WWE legends to help Lita take down Heath Slater. In All In, his final wrestling appearance on September 1st, 2018, Animal made a surprise appearance at the All In to open the event. Apparently that was him with a motorcycle. Because the event took place in Chicago, which is where they're from. The Road Warriors are apparently from. They had Animal come out. Pretty dope. Pretty dope of AEW to do that. Or it wasn't AEW, it was just, a joint thing. So again, it recommends here to watch that Dark Side of the Ring episode of the Road Warriors that came out this year. It's a great episode, and I'm really glad I watched it. Road Warrior Animal released an autobiography of the Road Warriors. The Road Warriors, Danger, Death, and the Rush of Wrestling. The book talks about the rise of the Road Warriors, shares funny stories of life on the road, and offers behind-the-scenes accounts of professional wrestling. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm looking at his resume now of what he's accomplished, and the amount of stuff he's achieved in terms of titles and Hall of Fame awards. It speaks for itself. Again, the Road Warriors are the greatest tag team of all time. It's sad to see both of them gone from this earth now. hard to watch that, but you know what? We're always going to remember them. We're always going to remember Road Warrior Animal, and he will be forever missed with in the wrestling community. Hopefully, and they'll always be on a higher pedestal than maybe any other tag team in pro wrestling. They're right there at the very least in terms of where they are in the pecking order of not just tag team wrestling, but in all of pro wrestling. They really sent that big of a shockwave to the industry, and I don't think people will forget it as long as pro wrestling is around. Alrighty, guys, that is my tribute to Road Warrior Animal, the greatest tag team in pro wrestling history. Like and comment on this page. Give me your comments. What are your best memories of Road Warrior Animal? Did you like them as a tag team? Did you like Road Warrior Animal, Road Warrior Hawkmore? Like, what's your favorite match with them? What's your favorite era with them? What's your favorite look with them? With the shoulder pads and all that stuff. Write it all down. Comments below. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Rest in peace, Road Warrior Animal. Until then, until next time, I will catch you guys on the burn side, and ooh, what a rush!